Hello friends, welcome to Viren Talks. In the last video of part 1 of depression, we have already talked a lot about the nature, symptoms and causes of depression. Hope it was helpful in developing an understanding about the depression. Now, let's focus on the remedial measures, how to overcome depression. So the first important thing is to get into action. As we know that depression is a disorder which can be identified by its symptoms and better diagnosed by mental health professionals. In this regard, American Psychological Association is a big association which describes the criteria in its diagnostic and statistical manual. We also know that there is no imaging technique or lab test to diagnose it. Depression dismantles our well-being. It may cause great harms to our life. So it is essential to find out the ways to get out of it. But the big question arises, how to overcome depression? There are medications available to treat the depression and it really works. But medication for a prolonged time is not a better solution. Also, many people do not approach psychologists, psychiatrists to avoid being stigmatized. Consulting the doctors for treatment costs money as well as the time. So what we can do? Foremost, you have to acknowledge that depression can be successfully treated. But how? So here our purpose should be to minimize the symptoms and changing the situation by adapting positive thinking and healthy lifestyle. Interestingly, it costs you nothing and empowers you more than anything. So let's discuss those measures to overcome depression one by one. So first step in that regard is exercise. Everybody is aware about the exercise, but it does not mean that going to gym. But important is that you keep yourself active, moving around, biking and making fun. And it breaks the brain circuit actually, which is responsible for or causing depression. Actually, exercise, what it does, it helps in boosting your energy. It improves your mood as well. It reduces anxiety. It makes you keep better. Your sleep pattern becomes better. And it also normalizes your appetite. And you also are involved in social activities. It reduces your social isolation. So that way it increases your focus and attention as well. So in this regard, what we should do? We should decide to go to park for exercise. Sometimes you go there but you don't do exercise. It's for all fine. You go there at least. Not necessarily you do lot of exercises. It will strong your bonding whenever you approach to the place, when you go to the park. So it will be considered as a step to fulfill your obligation. Exercise can actually help similar ways like antidepressant medicine do. It boosts your serotonin level. It also helps on your dopamine effect. It also helps in dopamine system. So by doing exercise, you are benefited many ways. Like it reduces your stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline. And in this regard, one change can bring multiple changes. So that way exercise is very much beneficial. So in this regard, what is important? That do some exercise in any form, but at least you do it. What happens when you do exercise? Especially when you do in group, it is suggested that you do exercise but in a group, because that is much more beneficial. It reduces your social isolation. What actually you can see in depression. People prefer to stay alone, but when you do exercise in group, so it reduces your state of isolation. It also motivates you and it puts you in a routine. And you don't have to start big in this regard. Even a small increment or a small incremental step can help you in a better way. So secondly, what we can do to overcome depression? You should set a very small goal, but that should be achievable. When you achieve any small goal sets by you, it boosts you. It increases your dopamine level and it helps in setting your brain chemistry right. It also creates a sense of perceived control. That way it reduces your anxiety and makes you feel much more better. You can start with goals like making your bed when you wake up in the morning, preparing morning tea, reading few pages of newspaper, reading some chapter in the book. This will boost your energy. This will boost your motivational level at the very beginning of the day. And what is important? When you plan, you decide something and set some goals. It affects the working of the prefrontal cortex. We have talked about prefrontal cortex, like what function it plays in part 1 of the video. And all these activities actually act as an exercise for the prefrontal cortex. That is the important part of the brain. And third step to overcome depression can be understood as proper sleep. Proper sleep is very important, and in this regard, quality of sleep is important. It is affected by circadian rhythms, and as we know that what sleep can do, it can affect our thinking, decision making, planning, and so many things. Keep all those things intact. You should take proper sleep of at least 7 to 8 hours. And what precautions you can take before going to sleep? Avoid watching any TV program or any mobile applications. So it will help you in getting quality sleep. Also, you can recall some good memories and happy times. It will also facilitate taking a quality sleep. And apart from good sleep, if you get time, you can practice meditation for some time. It would be very beneficial for you. One type of meditation is known as mindfulness meditation, which has a very bigger impact on our mind, on our life. What is mindful meditation? It actually teaches us to be in the here and now. What actually happens with us? We are too much occupied with our past. So thinking about past causes depression. And also we are too much occupied with our future plans, and future causes anxiety. In this respect, what we can do? We can train our mind to hold the awareness of the present and reap the benefit of it. Moving ahead, we can also follow some steps of yoga. It can also help in treating depression. This relaxes your body because a lot of breathing related exercises are there in yoga, which actually keep our mind peaceful. And it also helps in, making coordination between mind and body. You can also practice gratitude. Actually, expressing gratitude for small things improves physical and mental health by feeling more positivity, hope, and happiness. As we have learned that depression is a disease, or you can say dysfunction. People start living alone, interacting less with others, and what it actually does, it aggravates the situation worse. So people should live and interact with the friends, family members, and even sometimes with the strangers. It uplifts the mood. Studies suggest that people who interact with the significant others, they are resilient to stress. Also in this context, listening music is also important in reducing the state of depression. And one very interesting thing we have, like you should practice happiness. To convince your brain, it is very interesting finding about brain. A lot of studies have been done. To convince your brain that you are happy and fine, you should pass a smile on your face. Make a laugh like haha. Interestingly, a lot of studies are there which suggest that our brain does not differentiate between natural laugh and artificial laugh. So when you make a laugh like haha, so brain gets signal that you are happy, and it actually helps in improving your condition and reducing the symptoms of depression. And while fighting with depression, positive thinking plays very important role. Start thinking positively. You can also read some books. You can practice your hobby. If you like gardening, you can do that. If you want to read any books, novels, you can do that. It will help you increasing your dopamine level and will keep you engaged and happy. So a lot of things we have learned that how we can overcome depression. So in this context, it is important to tell that self-help is definitely beneficial for maintaining mental health. But sometimes when things are serious, when situation is worsened, so you should not hesitate to seek help from the professionals, because sometimes it is needed. Taking help from the professionals actually helps in reducing the symptoms of depression. And a lot of programs like community intervention programs, community approach programs have been very successful to prevent depression, including school-based programs are there which enhances the pattern of positive thinking in children and adolescents. So as we have gathered a lot of information that how we can take different measures to overcome the depression, we can have a look what attempts have been taken by different agencies at global level. It would be interesting to know. In this context, World Health Organization response is very comprehensive. WHO has prepared a very comprehensive mental health action plan 2013-2020. This highlights different steps required to provide appropriate interventions for people with the mental disorders, including depression. And its overall goal is to promote mental well-being, prevent mental disorders, provide better care, and enhance recovery by promoting human rights and reducing the mortality, morbidity, and disability for persons with mental disorders. In this context, WHO has developed brief psychological intervention manuals for depression. We have understood the steps suggested by global agencies like WHO. Now we can take what responses are there in our country, in India. In this context, some positive initiatives have been taken by government and educational institutions. We can take reference of Delhi, where happiness curriculum has been floated in government schools with an objective to improve mental well-being of the students. It emphasizes on mindfulness, social, emotional learning, critical thinking, problem solving, and relationship building. Also in India, we can take example of Indian Institute of Technology, Kharagpur, which has started a happiness center to promote research on happiness. So these are the big steps have been taken by different government agencies. Moving ahead, we can also take initiatives of Government of India, whose commitment is reflected in the National Mental Health Program, which envision life skills training and counseling in educational institutions, workplace stress management, and suicide prevention services, among others. There is a program known as Ayushman Bharat program initiated by Government of India, which provisions for mental health care services at the primary care level. Till now, what we have discussed about different steps, different measures taken to overcome the depression, it really works for you, as it was about the preventive measures and steps to overcome depression. And if you are interested in knowing about what are the symptoms, causes of depression, so you can watch part 1 of depression, which link is provided in the description box. And also you can provide your valuable suggestion in the comment section. We will come up with more beneficial videos. Stay happy and take better care of yourself. I hope you liked the video. So don't forget to like, share and subscribe.